Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Big Swing Fitness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to helping you improve your golf game through golf fitness. Today's episode is going to be another quick recap of the PGA tournament, the LPGA JM Eagle Classic, as well as the Live Golf tournament out in Singapore. We start off with the PGA Tour tournament out in Mexico. The Mexico Open, I believe it's called, where we had another exciting week. It was Tony Finau coming through as the winner. It's great to see him get his sixth tour victory. Forever the family man. He had his family with him to congratulate him at the end. If you ever watch the Netflix golf special, Full Swing, you'll see Tony Finau was highlighted in there, and you'll see just how close he is with his family. If you didn't like Tony Finau before, after you watch that, you'll definitely fall in love with him. He's a great guy, great family man. I think his new nickname is probably going to be the Family Man. I saw that even after the tournament, about 4 hours after the tournament, he was out on a par 3 course playing caddy for his kids. What can you say about the guy? It's a good father right there. Good man. And you always hope for all the best for someone like that. But altogether, it was a pretty great tournament. We had Jon Rahm chasing and nipping at his heels pretty much the entire final day. It was a close tournament. He did have a pretty good lead and command of the tournament going through the day. But Jon Rahm was pulling close. They still ended off with Tony Finau taking the tournament in the end, just with some great putting, stoic, and great overall play throughout the day. Jon Rahm put on a bit of a show, nearly holing out for birdie on 16 and putting on pressure for him throughout the day. We had a couple of other guys who were playing pretty well as well. So we had Brandon Wu having himself a great tournament. And we had Akshay Bhatia, who also had himself a great tournament. They were somewhat in the mix through the course of the day. But again, it was Tony Finau pulling this one out with a pretty great weekend and reasonably good command of the tournament the whole time. But it was an exciting finish. They did put a little bit of pressure on him. But again, great to see Tony Finau pull out the victory. Hats off to him. Tournament out in Mexico looked beautiful. Looked like a great venue. It was a great watch. And so next we talk about the LPGA tournament, the JM Eagle Classic out in LA. I believe they played that tournament a few times, but the JM Eagle is the new tournament sponsor for an inaugural event. It was a pretty good tournament. I did catch quite a bit of the last day and a couple of the other rounds during the week. It was Hannah Green coming out with the victory. Hannah Green winning her third time on the LPGA Tour. She did a great job. Some really clutches. Another tournament that went into a playoff. I think this is like the third week in a row for a playoff for LPGA. There's a lot of players putting a lot of pressure on down the stretch. But Hannah Green showed some great poise and some great play she had on the first playoff hole. It was her with Xiyu Lin and Aditya Ashok, who were in the first hole playoff. And it's a par 3 for the 18th hole, and that's the hole they played again for the playoff. And they all hit good shots on that first playoff hole, with Hannah Green just hitting a beautiful shot just within 5-10 feet of the pin, and she ended up tapping in for her birdie, followed by Xiyu Lin, who also made a clutch birdie to get herself into a second playoff between her and Hannah Green, where Xiyu Lin just unfortunately ended up in the bunker, leaving herself a tough time to pull out a birdie. And it was Hannah Green with some clutch putting ended up taking the tournament. It was really good. Another exciting playoff. As I said, these tournaments are pretty exciting to watch on a Sunday with all these girls having a great chance of pulling out a victory. I would say Allison Lee, another player who had a great day. She didn't have the best. She had a great week. She didn't have the best Sunday, keeping her just out of the mix at the end. But it was great to see her playing well. And next up, I think We have the Live Golf Tournament. It was, again, a playoff between Sergio Garcia and Taylor Gooch. Taylor Gooch was the winner last week, and Taylor Gooch is the winner this week, pulling out the first back-to-back victory on the Live Golf Tour. This tournament was out in Singapore. It looked like another great week. The Range Goats with Taylor Gooch's team had a great celebration at the end. Saw Howard Varnier III celebrating his ass off out there. So it was a good weekend for the Range Goats and another great week for Taylor Gooch, who pulled out, I think this is 9.25 million in just 8 days, 2 tournaments. I think he's going to be a happy man going forward. That's a big chunk of change for a few weeks' work. But yeah, it was a great playoff. Taylor Gooch risking it all, taking driver on the first playoff hole and narrowly putting it in the water, just clearing it, taking the risk, pulling it off. Ended up just missing the eagle putt. It was a par 5 on the playoff hole there, but he ended up putting it on the green with his second shot, giving himself a chance for eagle. And he just missed eagle, but a little tap in for birdie. Sergio Garcia found himself in a little trouble with his second shot. He ended up in the bunker. And then it's a tough shot. He had to hit a nice, fancy little bunker shot to just land it on the edge there and carry it to the hole. But unfortunately, he left it just a little short, catching the rough and not being able to release it out to the hole. And from there, it was done. Taylor Gooch, back-to-back winner. Another great week for him and the Range Goats, as I said. And another fine week for the tournament. Next, what I will get into is, again, our main focus for the podcast, which is fitness and golf fitness. But today I'm going to detour slightly. This is not really going to be focused on golf fitness itself. And I'm more going to talk about weight loss and just some tips and some tricks and some history behind my own weight loss. If you had watched the first episode, and I believe I mentioned maybe in the second episode, that I myself had struggled being overweight for most of my life, from childhood to adulthood. And for me, I would say what it was that allowed me to finally get over that stretch was just a combination of things. For me, initially, I had made a plan in 2017, and I was going to get this done again. And I would say, although I didn't initially start pulling it out then, I don't even think, again, after I had taken the initial photos, I don't think I really got it started till, because that was late 2017. And I don't think I really started to begin working out until 2018, sometime early 2018. And that's when I started to get regular with my workouts. Various motivations really pulled me through to start out. And I started to hit the gym regularly, work out regularly. And what I would say, it's really the secret sauce in all of it is consistency. I'm sure you've heard it before. And understanding that it's a long process filled with ups and downs. Some people, they may just be able to jump up and say, I'm going to do it and get started. And depending on how much weight they wanted to lose, find themselves 6 months later being exactly where they want to be, dropping off all the weight. But for a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit up and down. And it's really going to take some determination and some changing of habits that's really going to do the trick. For me, I started to build up the habit of working out. So that, I think, would be the theme, is all about building good habits. And I would say start slowly. You're going to want to jump in, and you're going to have like false starts. I believe they happen because you're really motivated. You pumped yourself up, you psyched yourself up, you're ready to go, and you're going to start going to the gym hard. And I think what happens is, for a lot of people, I know I'm speaking for myself, but I've also spoken to other people who've had the same issue. And I've listened to other people talk about their weight loss journey having the similar issue, where you burn yourself out initially. Like you just hit the gym and you're like, yeah, I'm going 7 days a week now, no sleep, and I'm going to go hard. But if you've been living a sedentary life, you may be able to pull that off for a week or two, but eventually you're going to crash out. It's going to become tired. You're going to, again, maybe not everybody. I know there's going to be people who can do it, but most people, you're going to end up crashing out and you're going to start slowing down. And then eventually your mind just plays tricks on you. And you know that, okay, I worked out great for 2-3 weeks. I can take a break. So you're going to take a break, and then 1 week becomes 2 weeks. 2 weeks becomes 3 weeks. Next thing, it's been like 2 months since you worked out, and you're like, wait, what happened? I know many people I've talked to have had the same situation. So I would really say build a habit, and build a habit, you got to start slow. So if you're going to start going from not going to the gym to going to the gym regularly or just working out regularly, even though you might be a young guy, young girl, whatever it is, you have the energy, but don't overdo it to start. Just build a habit. Just day in, day out, go to the gym, do the workout. Maybe don't try to lift as heavy as you can and do as many reps as you can, and don't pull out some like crazy 2-hour long workouts every day. Make it, if you're really sedentary and you haven't been doing, again, for me, what in my journey, as I'll go back to my journey, is I actually just started walking. I realized, okay, I wanted to, again, talking about biting off more than you can chew, I wanted to just walk a 5K. And what ended up happening is that I took a wrong route. There was no real way back that's any faster. And I had walked 5K, not really checking. And then I realized, even if I turn around now, I still have to walk another 5K to get back, or I can keep going in the circle around the route I was going. And that's going to be another 5K. So I ended up walking 10 kilometers that day. Again, this is from weekends and weeks of partying and just being out of some of my worst shape I've ever been, and making the decision to starting with walking. And even that was really difficult. Like I was in pain after like kilometer 6. I was walking so slow. I'm like, I can't believe I'm this out of shape. It was actually really difficult, but I just started to keep walking every day. I didn't try to walk 10 kilometers every day. I just started to walk a couple kilometers every other day. Then I was walking 5 kilometers. Then I was walking 10 kilometers. And eventually I even started running. And then I started running 5 kilometers, and I started running 10 kilometers. And I couldn't believe it. I was running the same route that first really tripped me up and had me just like feeling my worst and like hating on myself for being so out of shape. I was running that 10 kilometers like almost every other day at one point. And I ended up running in a 10 kilometer race in, I believe, 2021, maybe. I think it was sometime in fall 2021. So again, it's just building those habits, building them slowly. And the same thing goes with anything. Even the biggest factor, I would say, in weight loss, especially for me, is your diet. I am somebody who has a horrendous sweet tooth. Like eating sweets is like what I do. I love eating some donuts, some cookies, some pastries. I'm like obsessed. My friends always sending me pictures of creations made with Oreos, because I'll just sit down and go through like a family pack of eating Oreos when I'm not watching my weight. So I'm horrible with sweets and obsessed with eating them. But getting your diet under control is maybe the most important factor in weight loss. If you're somebody who's eating reasonably okay, you can probably get away with just starting consistent workouts. And because what it's all about, being in a calorie deficit, losing weight is all about being in a calorie deficit. You have to, I'm sure if you've ever thought about losing weight, you might have probably heard about this. because the information is out there. But all the fancy things that they have out there, all the fancy diets and fancy things, they're all just tricks to get you into eating less calories. And I wouldn't say like carnivore diet or Atkins diet or whichever diet that you've probably heard of. What it is, and the secret to anybody who has success with it is just about being in a calorie deficit. There's a certain amount of calories you need every day. And if you want to lose weight, your body's going to have to start taking those calories from somewhere else. And if you're not eating them, it'll start to take those calories from your fat stores and even your muscle, which is why it's good when you're losing weight to not just do cardio. I would say it's good to do strength training, but don't get too much into that. I would just say focus on being in a calorie deficit. Go find a calorie calculator. Find out your basal metabolic rate. Find out how many calories that you need at your age and your activity, your level of activity you need to maintain your health. And there's lots of calculators out there that you can just plug in. Like MyFitnessPal is one of them that I tend to use. And you can just plug that in. I have a goal of losing this many pounds in this long. And it'll give you a very accurate idea, or a reasonably accurate idea, of how big a calorie deficit you're going to need to be in to sustain that with that amount of weight loss and to achieve that amount of weight loss. And that is really a big thing. And again, you don't want to do anything too quickly because it's not weight loss that's going to last. And it might just be water weight that you're burning off in the first week or so that you've changed something up. And it can be really inflated numbers from various things. So the really real results are going to come after a 3 to 6 month period, at least, I would say. And so you got to prepare for that amount of time. And you just got to build into what you're doing. So with exercise, start slow. You keep building it up, keep increasing the number of reps, the number of sets, the number of distance you run, the number of times you work out per week. And you give yourself time. That first couple of weeks, just take it easy. Just do it. Just go through the motions of doing it. Next week, increase, and just make sure that you're increasing. Every 3 weeks, every month, you're increasing what you're doing and making it more intense, making it more challenging for you. And the same goes with your diet. I wouldn't start with a huge calorie deficit. You may be like, okay, I want to lose too much. You put in your numbers, I want to lose 2 pounds a week or something like that. And then you drop your calories all the way down to 1,500 or 1,600, whatever it is, something crazy amount, depending on what your body type is and what your numbers are. That might not be too crazy, but you drop your calories down, you go in a huge deficit, and it's going to be really hard to sustain that over the 3 to 6 months that you want to do it, especially if you're used to consuming any amount of calories that you want. You're not going to be able to do it. So I would say find out what your calorie deficit is and go to, if they're saying that you need, I don't know, a calorie deficit of, let's say, 600 calories deficit to achieve your goal, start with a 300 calorie deficit for the first few weeks. Get used to what 300 calories deficit feels like. Hold yourself accountable. Next thing I would talk about after this is accountability. But to finish up what I'm saying, start with a 300 calorie deficit, go to a 400 calorie deficit, then maybe go to a 600 calorie deficit, and just gradually work your way into that along with your training. And it's all about, again, building the habit of eating well. And if you have trouble doing that, the key, I would say, is to just eat more whole foods. It's not necessarily just about eating salad. I would just switch to eating more whole foods of what you like. Don't eat the too much fast food, too much junk food, too many snacks, too much sugar. Try to cut your sugar intake as much as possible. At least for me, I think is very important. One of the biggest things for me, again, just because I have issues with sugar. Sugar is like crack for me. Once I get that fix, it's hard for me to get off. It's the same thing when I'm on a diet. I can go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I'm not taking in too much sugar, but I let myself have that snack meal, and then I tend to snowball. So for me, it's very important for me to really distance out my cheat meals when I have them. I'd like to maybe have a cheat meal once or twice a week, but it's more likely for me to have a cheat meal at most once a month. And I don't mean a cheat meal for me in terms of sugar intake, and not so much eating carbs or just having a big meal or eating some spaghetti or something like that. For me, I can manage that, so it's not a big problem. But if you're like me and your problem is sugar and your problem is cutting sugar, you may need a longer period in between cheat meals just to stop yourself from your mind tricking you into telling you that it's okay. I can have a few snacks. And it is good that you should have good snacks. And if you're somebody who can manage eating 1 cookie or 2 cookies at a time, that's okay. Then if you can manage eating a light snack every day or every other day or every few days or once a week or something like that, that's great. If you're like a horrible binge eater like I am, that is just maybe not the path that you're going to be able to sustain. But as I was saying, again, start slow, be gradual. The next big thing would be accountability. I would say another big thing for me is just, I started to send my friend posts. This is just, I started buckling down. I built up some good habits and I got into working out, and then COVID happened and I was at home. I wasn't going to the gym anymore. And I could have slid back into a completely horrible lifestyle at that time. But I reconnected a little more with my friends she was also working out more regularly, and nothing, just very casual. We just send each other our workout updates every day. And this is what I did. This is my routine. I would basically just send her my exercise list of what I did for the day. And that was it. And we might discuss it. And I think that's a big thing. This is, again, maybe a good reason for why a personal trainer is good to have. If you don't have somebody you can just send your training with, not even because she's going to now message me and be like, hey, you didn't work out today or anything like that. It's just that I know she's going to be like, hey, even if she doesn't say it, I know that it's going to be like, I didn't send her my report this week. Or there'll be times even when I might work out twice just because I want to shock her. I might be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do 2 workouts today and give her a little bit of surprise, show that I'm working hard. So I think it's good to have that sort of friend or just some sort of accountability partner. Again, they don't even have to do much. Once you get in the routine of sending them something and them commenting on it, you've mentioned to them that you're on this goal of maintaining your frequency of going to the gym or eating well, you just naturally want to keep it going. And that's what happened. And she was also working out. And again, we feed off each other now that I have this person doing the same thing. Even though we're not really getting on each other about it, if we miss a day or something like that, it's just like a unspoken thing where, hey, you didn't work out today. You didn't work out yesterday. I'm sending you my workout list. Where's your workout list kind of thing? And you just end up not wanting to fail on those check-ins. So I think those check-ins are really important and they make it a little more fun and they help you stay on the wagon, as they say, and keep you motivated through going through. For me, in terms of training, as I mentioned, I started walking and then I started hitting the gym. And I was doing various weight training exercise at the gym. and mixing that in with some cardio. I was doing a lot of just walking on the treadmill, doing stair climber, doing elliptical, and doing a lot of that. And just doing that regularly really helped me. And I did lose a lot of weight, but it wasn't until I combined that regular workout with a consistent diet over 6 to 8 months that I went from being just in shape to getting to as you see here in this photo. So combining a strong workout regime with a strong nutritional plan is the way, and mainly the only way, because you want to maintain a healthy calorie deficit. Like, you can't train your way out of a bad diet, as I found many times. Like, I might be working out hard twice a week, but when I'm doing that, that cessation builds up, and I'm almost eating more. I'm eating more junk. I'm working out more, but I'm also just eating more calories just because the body wants that fuel. So it's good to really find the balance and get the physical fitness in order with the nutrition. But again, back to my workouts after that, I find that, so something that you're going to find that is really good for weight loss in terms of if you're talking about what you want to do for a workout plan, I would say get into doing things with a lot of compound moves. So a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts, anything that's going to get you doing exercises that require multiple muscles and muscle systems working at the same time. So I would do again, and it doesn't have to be heavy weights, like why I'm going to mention it into kettlebells. I would do a lot of training exercises, do a clean into a lunge, or do a lunge with an overhead press. Doing those kind of compound moves as well in a circuit style is what initially, again, I was at home. I wasn't in the gym anymore because COVID happened. I had picked up a couple kettlebell and I really started practicing with them. And it was really that kettlebell circuit training combined with me really maintaining my nutrition that got me over the edge, that got me from being just great, I'm finally at my best weight, but still a little doughy, but still really excited about being my best weight, to really getting as lean and shredded as I possibly could at that time. Was a variation of kettlebell circuit training with lots of compound moves and some cardio. I was still running occasionally. I wasn't running as much, but I was still doing some runs, as well as just doing long. Again, walking is actually really great. Towards the end, the last couple of months, I would just combine some kettlebell circuits with some 1 hour walks on a treadmill or walks outside. And that was a large part of my cardio, was just walking, just walks on the treadmill at a brisk pace for about an hour. If you don't have that kind of time, there is, I'm sure you've heard of HIIT training, high intensity interval training, which is just proven to be a very good way to burn fat and get you an effect called afterburn, as a more simple way of saying it, where it's just a matter of your body is still burning calories after the workout is done. And a good HIIT workout is really good for doing that. I'm not saying HIIT is the way to do it. HIIT is just, would just recommend adding a HIIT workout to everything you're doing. And I feel that a good variety of workouts, doing circuit training, which is just grouping a bunch of different workouts together with very little rest in between, and doing that as one set. Again, as you've seen in some of the posts I post on Instagram, they're all basically just circuit training sets. But a variation of circuit training, you can do your typical weightlifting as well. Again, things like deadlifts and squats. And I really believe in all forms of squats, especially if you're trying to lose weight. I think it's really important to do exercises that get your thighs and your quads and your big muscles working, because you actually burn a lot of calories by moving those. and as well as some sort of strength and weight training, adding a good cardiovascular workout in there. So some cardio I think is good, and walking. So if you have time, walking is great. If you don't want to run, you're worried about your knees, or you have other issues, or you don't have anywhere to run, or you just don't like to run. If you have the time to put in long sessions of walking, I think walking is a fantastic way to do your cardio. Add that with half hour to an hour, or even less, 20 minutes of a hard kettlebell circuit or any weighted circuit with weights. You can use dumbbells, barbells, whatever you have. It doesn't have to be kettlebells, but some sort of resistance or cables or something, just some sort of resistance training workout in combination with some steady state cardio like walking. It's really all you need if your diet is right. What else should I say? Yeah, again, not to go over and over and over about it. I would say the keys are mainly start slow, find some way of accountability, find a friend. Again, they don't have to do much. Just let them know, hey, I'm going to start sending you my workouts every week. This is how many workouts I plan to do every week. I'm just going to send them to you. You don't really have to say much about it if you don't want to. Yeah, but I'm going to send them. I'm going to leave them here. You can, or post them on Instagram, post them somewhere where people can see them. People start commenting back about it and following you. Again, this is partially why I want to do it. I'm going to be changing up. I'm going to be posting more about some weight loss stuff over the coming weeks on my social media. Just maybe some meal prep, some nutrition stuff, things that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be also, as well as focusing on a golf fitness program, I'm going to be trying to keep my nutrition in check as I try to maximize the whole thing. So I'm hoping to not only maximize my golf fitness, but I'm also in that time while I'm playing more golf, working out more, also burning more calories and keep my nutrition down. So I can get leaner over these next, let's say, 8 weeks. I'm going to test it out for and just see how the combination of this program with my nutrition being in check affects my weight loss. And if I can, which I believe I can, provided I'm keeping a calorie deficit, which I plan to be doing, should be able to, within 8 weeks, get from where I am, which is I'm in decent shape right now, but to get really lean in 8 weeks. I'm gonna post some photos 8 weeks from now and keep you guys updated on that. And we'll see. And at the end of 8 weeks from now, we'll see exactly where I am. I'll probably get some photos taken tomorrow, maybe. I may not post them. I may just wait to show the whole thing at the end of the 8 weeks. But we'll see. But in terms of, for you guys, again, consistency, accountability, start slow, do things that you enjoy. Again, I've been the biggest thing in terms of physical activity. Again, this also applies for your diet, but do things that you enjoy, just stay active. So if you don't like to run, don't run, do something else. If you say you don't have the time to do an hour walk, try to pick up HIIT training, try to do some high intensity individual training for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. That's really going to help to maximize and make your workout more efficient and get things done. Remember, try to do some sort of weight training, some sort of resistance training in there. I think it's really important. You don't want to get, as they call, skinny fat, although that's just a term, a lame term. But yeah, you want to try to maintain as much muscle as you can or build a little muscle. When you have more muscle, it just looks, even if you don't lose as much fat, it just looks more well distributed across your body. So you can be carrying a little more fat and you'll just look better. And you'll have more of the shoulders and more of the different aspects that you might find more aesthetically pleasing. But that applies, again, like I was saying, just doing what you enjoy also is the most thing, because that's what you're more likely to maintain the consistency for, because you need to, it's really about staying consistent over months, really. There's a fast some fast ways. If you don't need to lose that much weight, it's not that big deal. But if you're pretty overweight, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a grind. You got to be prepared to stay consistent over 6 to 8 to 12 months in order to really see what you want. So to maintain a level of consistency over that period of time, it's really going to have to be things that you enjoy doing at least. So I would just find whatever physical activities and whichever exercises and whichever ones that you enjoy most, and really just and try to build a habit at least with those. Once you have the habit, like for me, once I have the habit, it's hard for me not to go to the gym now just because I'm in the habit of going to the gym. Taking a rest day it's actually hard for me. I usually want to do something. If I don't do some sort of physical activity in a day, I'm like antsy and feel like I need to do something, even though like I might be like really sore or have an injury and really should rest it. I still want to push it. So it's building that habit. And trust me, I was never this person. Like, as I said, anybody who knows me, I was overweight like my whole life. Sticking to a diet, sticking to a workout plan was not me. I was never able to do it. It's just building that initial habit. Once that habit was formed, that's when I was able to take it to the next level. So it's really about building the habit. And your diet is the same thing. If you don't enjoy eating salads, eating salad is going to be hard for you to maintain for 6 months to a year. You can maybe have the mental fortitude to do that. Some people do, I'm sure, but most of us do not. So this is where, again, these diets, I quote unquote tricking you, is that you just find something that you like. If you like eating meat and chicken and this is what you like to eat, more of that, eat less junk, just eat more proteins. Protein, like I said, is really great. It gets your metabolism working harder in order to break down proteins. Getting your protein is really important, and it's great for muscle growth and muscle recovery. So protein in any form is just protein is really great for you. So if that's what you like, eating more, it's not just about, I would say, for me, if you don't like vegetables and you just like eating meat, try to stick to a carnivore diet and kind of type diet, fine. I would still say try to get your fiber through supplements and things like that. And maybe, I've never tried Athletic Greens or any of that kind of stuff, so I can't say good about that. But I do find a combination is important for me. I do eat a very heavy protein filled diet where I'm mostly just eating different forms of chicken and turkey and steak on occasion. But I do need to get my vegetables. And I think just overall, it's all about balance. As long as you're just getting your if you're a guy, you're probably maybe on like a 1,700 to 2,000 calorie diet, most likely, if you're in a deficit. And that's probably a big deficit for you. It's going to be pretty tricky to get all those calories from just protein. It's still a lot of meat that you're eating, still a lot of good amount of food. You just don't want to waste that. One, by drinking your calories is something I hate doing. I mostly only water, tea, and coffee now, just because it's like in my head, I hate to drink my calories, because some of those drinks that are out there that you're drinking, you're getting like 500-600 more calories just from one drink, and it's not even filling you up. You're just going to be still hungry, and then you're going to end up having these other cravings for other sugary snacks and other junk food. And it's just a terrible cycle. So I would try to say another trick, it would be to try to limit your sugary drinks. Try not to drink your calories, as I say. Try to just drink more water, more tea. That's going to help you cut out probably a lot of calories. There's diet soda as well. Again, I don't really drink it, but that is a way of cutting your calories as well. But yeah, just try to find whatever it is that is going to, within the framework of a good nutritional plan, that's going to help you to maintain it. So if you like pasta, just don't eat a lot of it. Again, look for recipes, look for different things that might have pasta that is a healthier type pasta, like a low calorie dense type thing. I don't know, some sort of like zucchini pasta, different types of things, or just limit your quantities of these things. I might talk about carbohydrates a little bit here. Again, carbohydrates, I would say try to learn to use carbohydrates. They're not bad. The reason why people tend to talk about carbohydrates as being bad because they want to get into a state of ketosis where your body is more burning your fat calories and not the calories that it's consuming from the carbohydrates and food that you eat. And the way to do that is to cut out the carbohydrates. But most people are not doing it right and not really doing anything by it and using some bit of carbohydrates, again, healthy, proper carbohydrates through like beans and lentils and things like that are not a problem. And it's just about using carbohydrates, I would say, to fuel your workout. So if you're going to have some carbs, maybe have it as a pre-workout, have it early in the day before your workout, and use that to help as a fuel source to help you push harder and go harder throughout the workout. And just limit the quantity of it. You don't need to cut it out, but try to increase your protein and lower your sugar is pretty much my biggest suggestion to you in terms of nutrition. But yeah, so that's basically, I think, everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope this was beneficial to you. I want you to understand that it's a long process. And that's something, again, I want to really get across, that it's going to be a process. So start slow, but don't stay slow. Eventually start slow, but increase what you're doing. Find ways to think, if it's a personal trainer, if it's a friend, if it's just posting what you're doing online, try to get some engagement on it, because that little bit, like even the littlest bit of accountability, it helps. You just, again, even if people aren't saying much, it just helps you to maintain. And yeah, so again, follow along, hit the like and subscribe, go to my social media, follow along. I'll be there. If you want to ever message me, if you just want to send me any messages, let me know. You need any help, any advice, anything you want to know about a weight loss journey, any suggestions about anything that you want to talk about your own weight loss, or just have me help you try to stay accountable, send me a post link me your social media, post on there. I might message back and say, hey, what's up? I'm not seeing your posts anymore, something like that. Just to help you out. That interests you. Don't be afraid. Drop me a line. And yeah, this is another episode of the Big Swing Fitness Podcast. All the best to you out there. One love. Peace out.